Thanks, guys.
Just a second, please. The mic is put down.
What's wrong?
Which one?
Thanks all. We'll just start by taking questions from the room, and then we'll move to online after that. I know we've got a lot of Scottish media online as well, so questions from the room first, please.
Sean, obviously you guys came here for a shootout and you guys gave a good account of yourself. Just your thoughts on the game to start with?
Yeah, obviously we knew that the first 20 minutes were going to be vital, and I thought that the players reacted very well to that. We wanted a fast start to counteract what the Bulls will do to opposition when they come to Loftus, and we certainly got the start that we wanted. And then I think, a couple of loose kicks, which does happen in rugby, and the Bulls are outstanding in how they cut us there on counter-attack. And then blitzed in the second half. And I think it was 13 minutes. We conceded 3 tries, and I've been to Loftus enough times to know that can happen. But the boys fought until the end. Did well to come back with the 9 points. I think if you look at the penalty near the end, we went for the corner. Maybe if we had have got 3 there, then the pressure turns on the opposition because you're not within. Because then you become within 7. So I'm proud of the fight that the guys showed. I think the injuries took its toll as well in the game, and obviously in the build-up to these games. But there's no excuses for that. Well done to the Bulls. They did what they're good at today, and they got the result that they needed.
It's not often you see sides coming to Loftus and finishing stronger than the Bulls in terms of the altitude. Was there anything specific that you guys did on that?
Yeah, we did talk about it. We spoke about a fast start and a strong finish, because the Bulls do concede tries in the last 20 minutes. Unfortunately, our own inaccuracies cost us in that department. I thought that the Bulls did well to hold us up on the maul. Had we got that ball away, maybe and gone through a couple of phases, we might have scored a try. I thought the guys were really good when we got into the Bulls 22. In the first 40 minutes, we were in there 4 times, and we scored 3. So, that's what we needed to do. But fair play, the Bulls put us under pressure and didn't allow us as many entries as we would have liked.
It's always bad to be on the wrong side of the 11 try sort of game with 70 points. Are you happy with? I mean, you're obviously disappointed with the result, but just in terms of the season and where you guys go to?
Yeah, there was a lot of fight shown. It's a challenging season. We had a tough start with Leinster at home at full strength, and then getting on the plane the next day and coming to South Africa for 2. And then pulled it together quite nicely, up until the break to November. Then, we staggered along. We were good, and we were inconsistent in our performance as well. And didn't always get the results. But I mean, if you look at what the guys have achieved to get where they were, and then to get into this position of a quarterfinal, their efforts have to be commended. It's not easy to go into the last 2 rounds of competition needing 10 points to qualify. So the fight that this team just shows is really encouraging. We've got a good environment. The players are proud of playing for Edinburgh. You saw that today. I know we fell short, but those are the positives we can take out. And there's a lot of growth that has taken place over the season, so you can't look at this game in isolation. And we're certainly excited about what we can bring next year.
Good, Sean. Just looking at Piers Kumon today in your front row, it looked like it was, I don't know if it was a tactic, but you guys were trying to get under the Bulls' skin a bit there in some of the rucks and mauls and scrums. Was it part of a tactic today? Or?
No, it's not really part of the tactic, but it is the competitive spirit of how we play. It's always going to be difficult when you're away from home, and you don't want to show the opposition too much respect. I thought our tight 5 did well to stand up to the Bulls. I know we conceded 2 scrum penalties. We also got 1 back in the second half. So there was a lot of fight shown. We only came over with 2 second rowers. So that's the state of our injury list in that position. I thought the guys did well.
And just on your travel, obviously you guys came on Wednesday. Do you think it might have had a bit of effect on your guys' performance today in some parts of the game?
No, not at all. Like I say, it's normally the first 20 minutes that catch you. We started well, and then you get better as the game goes on, and you've played here yourself, and you know what happens to teams that come up from the coast. So there's no excuses from our side. Like I said, we did finish stronger, and that was the plan. Unfortunately, our inaccuracies let us down.
Coach, what are some of the critical opportunities or looking at?
Sorry?
What are some of the critical opportunities that, or missed opportunities that you think led you into losing the game because you were starting but you couldn't carry out the leading momentum onto the last season?
Yeah, I think, if you look at the start of the second half, that's probably where the problem started for us, conceding those 3 tries. We wanted a good start in the second half as well, and then conceded the scrum penalty and gave the Bulls possession in our 22, and they hard to stop when they're in your 22. I don't know if you guys know the stats, but the Bulls are the most efficient in the opposition's 22, and they do well with their big ball carriers. So disappointing there. We take pride in our execution of our kicking game, and we probably overcooked a few kicks which put us under pressure, which didn't allow us to capitalize on those opportunities. But like I say, I think that line out with 7 minutes to go, it's quite an important line out. The Bulls did well to hold us up and win a scrum there, and then got a penalty from that set piece. So yeah, missed opportunities, but like I say, it was a really close game, and proud of the boys how they fought to the end.
Yes. Sean, you mentioned yesterday the importance of a strong early start and obviously kicking for territory. You said if you'd won this game, it would have been a 3-1 record against Jake. But historically now, I guess that's 2-2, and historically it's 3-3 between the clubs. So what's it going to take for one of the sides to beat the other one at home?
Sure. First of all, it's not a personal thing between Jake and I. It's 2 clubs that are playing against each other. For us, like I say, I think Bulls probably field the strongest team that they could field today, and it would be great if we had everyone available. When they came to Durban, they had Johan Goosen on the bench, who came on and made a big difference in the second half. It's just interesting encounters that we have against each other. We've won the games at home, and they've won the games at Loftus. We came incredibly close here in I think it was round 2 of the URC. We were over the line, the ball got stripped, and then the Bulls scored from 100 metres. So that's the way rugby goes. Always interesting battles between the 2 teams. We know each other really well now because URC's in its 3rd campaign. Teams get used to coming to Loftus now. The teams in the UK aren't threatened by coming up here and playing at altitude anymore, and a lot of the overseas teams have got wins at Loftus and at Ellis Park. So yeah, it's difficult to say what the difference would be. But yeah, it's always going to be a physical affair, and we have to stand up to the South African teams physically.
No. Okay. It's been answered. Thanks.
Thanks all. I think we've taken all questions from in the room, so I'm just going to move to online to the Scottish media now. I think I heard Stuart Bathgate there, if you want to lead off.
Hi, Stu.
Sean.
Can you put the volume up, please? Sorry, Stu. It's very low. For an old man, it's hard to hear it.
Obviously, you've made a lot of progress in recent weeks and months. If you get back to the playoffs next season, what do you need to improve on further to make sure you go at least one step beyond the quarterfinals?
Yeah, I think just the elementary mistakes that come from pressure. The Bulls did put us under pressure. We'll not talk about elementary mistakes. It's the accuracies of our execution, kickoffs, discipline when we're comfortable. Like I said, I thought our discipline was good today. And obviously, keeping teams out of your 22, that's improvements you have to make. It was, for us, it's about how many more entries can we get in the opposition's 22 to be able to finish off. And I mean, if you look at the Sharks game in the URC, we were over the line 3 times, we were held up. So we can get better there. So I think just generally, like I say, the unforced errors obviously let us down today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Graham Bean.
Hi Sean, a number of players playing their final match today for Edinburgh, and they left it all out there, didn't they?
Yeah, it's very emotional changing room at the moment. We've got 5 leavers that are sitting in the changing room absolutely gutted. There a lot of effort went into this game today, and the preparation was really good for us. The travel was good. Unfortunately, we just fell short. But yeah, very emotional. Ali Price is come to work every day since he's joined Edinburgh with a smile on his face, which is really contagious amongst the team. And that happiness and energy is contagious. And it certainly brought a lot to the table. And you look at a guy like Jamie Ritchie that's been at the club for 11 seasons. He's been really outstanding since I've been there for the last 2 years. One of the standout players, Player of the Year last year, and was also a nominee for Player of the Year this year. We'll miss him. His competitive edge and leadership is something that we will miss, and we wish him well going forward. And then there's obviously guys like Jabin and Robin Hislop as well. And Robin, although he hasn't played much this year, he's been an anchor within the squad, not always available for selection due to injury, and when he came back from injury, didn't probably get the game time that he wanted. But a guy that carries himself well around the group when things don't go his way, always positive, training to the best of his ability. We miss people like that because it's a good example to our youngsters. And I think, the positive of it all is that, Jamie and Ali have got good opportunities in the south of France, and they'll enjoy the environment change. It's not the end of their careers. Sometimes a change in environment is good for an individual, takes them out of their comfort zone, and if possible, we would welcome them back in Edinburgh if we can.
Great. Thanks, Sean. Safe home.
Thanks, Graham. Andrew Petrie.
Sean, you talked about the strong start and the strong finish. You got both of those, but it was that middle phase that really hurt you. Could you put your finger on why that was?
Yeah, like I said, you've got to deny entries into your 22. That we weren't able to force enough rucks on the ball, and when they kept the ball alive, Keegan Johannes' try is an example of that. They're really hard to stop. They've got a lot of pace out wide, so obviously we wanted to stop momentum and force them to play from slow ball, but it wasn't always possible. Like I said, I think we would be disappointed in how we executed our kicking game, because they did win the aerial battle today, and some of those scraps that fall on the floor, it's a bounce of the ball, so you need a little bit of luck as far as that's concerned. But like I say, for me, it was more around the kicking game in the middle, if I can call it the middle third of the game, that probably led to their win.
Here, Sean.
Thanks. Gavin Hopper.
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Gavin.
You talked there about the guys who are leaving. Are you confident that with the guys you're bringing in, you can kind of make it back to the playoffs again next year?
Yes, I'm very confident. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do with the youngsters that we have in the group. There's quite a long way between now and the first game on the 27th of September. So we're going to put in a lot of hard work. And what we mustn't do is forget the amount of work that we put in now and the progress that we've made, so that we can hit the ground running in round one against Zebri away from home, which is going to be a tricky fixture. So, yes, I am confident. We are building from within within our structure, so it's not as though we're going to lack cohesion. If anything, it's going to bring, Edinburgh Rugby a lot of energy, having new faces around, and some of the new players that we're bringing in, have played, top level rugby in the English Premiership. Whitcomb has played there, and Rhys Littrick's playing for Cardiff. Cardiff just lost out on the playoffs, and then Pierce O'Connor, doing really well and playing almost every game except for one, I think, for Connacht. So, that they'll bring something different to the group. So it's actually exciting times for us.
I think Magnus just said on TV that there was games obviously that cost you during the regular season. Is that the kind of frustration that, Zebri home and away, the Sharks game at home that you were leading till 78 minutes, that you could actually have avoided a trip to South Africa in the playoffs had you won some of those games? No,
you're absolutely spot on, Gavin. The two Zebri games were disappointing. Zebri did get the most wins they have in the URC. I think they got 5 wins in the end. So that will always frustrate us. You're forgetting the game against Treviso where the youngsters played unbelievably well in that game, and we're leading, and then we lost the line out and they scored 90 minutes down the field. You catch that line out ball and you close the game out and you win. And those points will push you into 5th position. And you take another couple like the Sharks or another 5 from Sharks, and then you're sitting in 4th position. So yes, that will be something that we will reflect on. Not that we didn't at the time. We knew that every point was going to be vital. But yeah, for us, it's about, getting a good, strong start in the competition to not put ourselves under pressure at the end.
Good stuff. Thanks, Sean, and safe home.
Thank you very much, Gavin.
Thanks. Rob Robertson, are you on the call?
I'm on the call, but I'm fine, thanks. No problems.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Callum Crowe, you on the call? No. Bryn Palmer, are you on the call? No, I think we're good, guys. Unless no follow-ups, we'll let Sean get on his way.
Thanks very much, Sean.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Enjoy your weekend further.